Hello and welcome back to another episode of LMS Cast. I'm joined by a special guest. His name is Vikas Sinkal from InstaWP. You can find InstaWP at instawp.com. First,
Mhm.
welcome to the show, Vikas.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chris. Really appreciate it.
I love hanging out with my WordPress entrepreneur friends. And what entrepreneurs do is they solve problems. So tell us the story of InstaWP. What is it, and how might the course creators and WordPress professionals out there use it?
Yeah, so the story started about 2 years ago. Means I'm comparatively new to WordPress. Means compared to the other folks which I meet in various WordCamps and other events. So I started with WordPress by buying or acquiring a plugin from Code Canyon. So that was interesting, and slowly we built a team of 30 people and like 10 plus plugins. So this was back in 2017 plus, and within few years I was kind of using WordPress, and I always imagined or always curious that why there is no easy way to launch a WordPress site without like hassle of setting it up. Means there is obviously possibility of setting up a local site, but that also requires like a download and things like, and you can't easily share that. So that's where means we thought there has to be a better way, right? In terms of classical Shark Tank moment. So that's where means I basically hired a bunch of freelancers, started kind of mingling with the idea, and then I showed it to a couple of friends, post status, Twitter, and everybody loved it. So that's the start of InstaWP. And right now, fast forward 2 years, people are using it to do all kind of things. We are positioning it as a build tool or a demo tool for WordPress. So product companies like Lifter can use it to show their product as a sandbox demos, and agencies and freelancers, that's our primary target audience. They are using it to actually build client sites and then eventually deliver it to clients because we have an inbuilt migration and everything is inbuilt, right? So you all you need is Insta and then maybe a hosting account somewhere.
So, how does that part of the end work where if somebody, I know what you mean, like developing locally isn't for everybody,
Hmm.
but why not build on InstaWP and then transfer it to the host when you're ready? So you don't offer any hosting yourself, like it's for the build and then deploy.
Yeah,
So how does
yeah.
somebody deploy
Mhm.
to a web host from
Yeah,
InstaWP?
we have a couple of ways to do that. One is if your hosting provider is like one of our supported ones, you can just do a one click push. So we support like do an API integration, and then we create the site automatically in your hosting panel, and then we push the site. So right now the push works from, so we install our own migration plugin on Insta site and on the target hosted site, and then we do plugin to plugin migration, and this all happens automatically, so you don't need to like set up anything. Right now we are exploring another way, which is SSH based deployment, so it will be even more faster, more reliable. So these are the two ways, and the third way is if the hosting provider is not supported, you can just provide us a blank WordPress site, and we will install our plugin and then do plugin to plugin migration. So there are like a number of ways you can do it, and the beauty of it is once the migration is done, you can actually keep pushing more stuff to it. So as soon as you develop on Insta, you can push more stuff to it. But then the question arises of how does the live site cope up with dynamic data like WooCommerce orders or in Lifter LMS kind of scenario where always there is a user generated data, right? Always keep growing. So we are now working on a feature which is two-way sync, which is I think is one of the kind of an innovative feature where you we track the changes on your source site, and then we can just merge it to the destination site. So the changes are replayed on the destination site, and then the dynamic data stays as is, so it doesn't need to like override data in any case. So that is something we are actively working on. It's under beta. It's already live. You can check it out.
That's great. So, like, if you're a WordPress freelancer or agency, you can be working on your InstaWP. The client might have their own hosting, but then you
Mhm.
can easily either deploy the site, but also update it. That's really awesome.
Mhm.
Tell us about the free plan. Like, if somebody wants to try it out, what can somebody do for free with InstaWP?
But means the free plan is meant to do like quick testing, quick tinkering around with WordPress. Means we even have a shortcut which became very popular, which is wp.new. So you just type wp.new on a browser and you get a WordPress site. That actually doesn't even require to get an account. It is an anonymous WordPress site. But if you do register an account, you get that site to be like upgraded to be used for 7 days, and then it expires. So that's the free account, and you can create up to 3 sites at a time.
That's awesome. I know for me personally, when I'm testing a new feature in WordPress or trying to figure out full site editing or want to test another free plugin or see if I can you know just play around. Like I don't necessarily want to spin up a new site on my hosting account, but that makes it super
Exactly.
easy to have your playground there, your sandbox.
Mhm.
Awesome. How can tell us more about how a plugin company or a theme company could do an automated demo system? Like how would that work?
Yeah, the automated demo system has become one of the most popular product in our portfolio. The reason is previously product companies used to set up something on their own, or they use a multi-site based architecture or a plugin, and which is means you do your own management and then sites get hacked, and it's just a pain, the overall, right? So what we have done is you create a site on InstaWP, you save it as a template, we call it template, and then you get a link for the template. And every time somebody visits that link, they will get kind of a copy of the template, right? So it's a replica of the template, like a live site based off of the template. So that's the crux of it. But then we have so many options. For example, you can set like the lifetime of the site, 4 hours, 8 hours, 16 hours, depending upon use cases. You can actually collect emails from users, so that you can feed it to your email drip campaigns, and then becomes a lead magnet of some sort. There are and you can brand it, you can white label, you can use your own domain, so lifterlmssites.com or whatever, right? So there are a bunch of options, and what we have found with product companies, such as Gravity Forms and other Stellar, which every product on Stellar is now on InstaWP, WP All Import, right? So all these companies are now using Insta as a product sandbox. And what we have found is that it may not necessarily apply to every product like plugin and theme company out there, but generally speaking, it actually helps with conversion rates. People are able to actually play around with the product, and reduces refunds, right? And reduces support tickets as well, pre-sales queries and things like that, because they can do it themselves. Otherwise, there is no way in WordPress to actually test it out unless it is a free plugin. And free plugin also, as you just said, means you need to set up the site and then test it, and right. So that is the thing which we take away from the product company. So you just keep doing your product, we do the sandbox.
Can you walk us through how if somebody, let's say, was serving yoga studios and they had
Mhm.
like 3 yoga studio templates that people could just buy, but it was more than just one theme company or one product. It was like a configured site with demo content.
Mhm.
How would somebody, let's say they built those 3 sites on InstaWP, then they sell them, let's say for $500 to a client, then
Mhm.
would they use your migration plugin to get it over to their customers hosting if they don't want to host it themselves?
Yeah, so that's the beauty of our migration plugin, that we don't tie it to a particular hosting. It's
Yeah.
not especially our own hosting. because in WordPress, what we have figured out is everybody has their favorite hosts, right?
And there's lots of them, right?
There's lots of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Means and that's by design, I think, because every host solves a different kind of problem. Some are GDPR compliant, some are closer to their audience, right? Some offer Cloudflare integration, whatever, right? It can be anything which the host is differentiating themselves. So that's why we have made it like agnostic of hosting companies. You can migrate anywhere. Um, it's good that you have touched based upon the template and the selling and the client part. So we are working towards a future where you can actually sell templates on InstaWP, right?
Mm.
You can just put like a paywall in front of your template, and we collect a commission, and then people actually get a site. And that site, which they get, is not a temporary site that is hosted on your own hosting provider. For example, if you use Cloudways, if you use Pressable, we have integrations with all of these companies. Run Cloud, automatically, like you get that deployment option. So the end user selects a pre-made template. They select a hosting plan, which is actually kind of a customized plan which you can create. So a $19 plan, a $29 plan, whatever, right? So eventually you are able to make your own Shopify, Wix, or WordPress.com, which can be really, really powerful, which we are calling it as a WAS, website as a service. I think LMS solutions are one of the primary use case there, actually.
That's awesome. So we're going to be able to build Teachable on InstaWP, something like
100%,
that.
100%. Yes, and I would love to see Lifter Cloud built on Insta at some point.
That's awesome. Can you tell us, I'm just kind of going through some of your features and stuff. What is restoring an expired site? So like, if you have one that goes away, it's actually not
Mhm.
fully gone away. That's happened to me before where like, oh man, I wish I could go back to that site I used to have, but it's gone.
Yeah. So the free plan doesn't allow you to mark a site as a permanent. We call it
Yeah.
reserve sites.
Okay.
So if you are on any paid plan, so let's say the starter plan is actually very cheap, it's $6 a month. It gives you 5 permanent sites. So when you create a site and you are on a paid plan, you can just click on that flag icon and it becomes permanent, right? So it essentially becomes a hosting at that point.
Mhm.
But a lot of people actually ask, can't I just connect it to a custom domain and just host my stuff here? So I say you can do that, but it is not meant for hosting. It is meant for reliability and speed, but not for scaling, right? So we don't support a lot of users, a lot of traffic to your site. These are meant for staging, test, sandbox kind of activity, right? Where you build stuff, you don't actually host stuff on Insta. So that's the expiry and reserve sites.
Can you explain the difference between active sites and templates?
Yeah. So the sites so InstaWP has two main core components. One is an active site, which is like when you create a WordPress site, it becomes like an active site, dashboard. When you save it as a template, it essentially takes a snapshot of that site and then just saves the database and the files as a zip file internally. And what happens is every time you create a new site from the template, it actually pulls up the database backup, the files backup, and creates a new site for you. So templating system is kind of a core to our overall ideology because it gives you so much flexibility, right? So a template can be shared with a link, which we just talked about, the
Mm.
sandbox. It becomes a sandbox. A template can be private, can be used by your team to create more sites from it. So let's say you create a Lifter LMS stack with Lifter LMS, maybe a page builder, which you just check. So maybe Elementor has a different template, and then one more template with Lifter plus Breezy, one more template with Lifter plus breakdowns, whatever, right? It can be any page builder. It gives your QA team an opportunity to just click create sites and test it with whatever different stacks you want to, right? So that's the template for you.
Wow, that's awesome. What are advanced deployments?
Yeah, so deployment is something which is used by a lot of developers and product companies. So Git is one of the integration which we have done. So what we can do right now is, as I said, sites and templates are two core components of Insta. So you can connect a site to a Git repository. So let's say I'm sure Lifter LMS has a GitHub repository, right, or a Bitbucket. So you can connect your GitHub to InstaSite. Every time you do a push, your site will be automatically updated, right?
Awesome.
And then you can actually have your pipeline set up every time you do that, and then you have this, you can send it to QA. You don't need to do like a manual pull and set it up for the QA team. And you can set up like 3 4 sites, one for the dev branch, one for the QA branch, whatever, right? But the story becomes even more interesting when you connect a Git deployment to a template, not a site.
Hmm.
So now what happens every time you do a push, a site is spun off from the template with your Git contents merged together, fused together, and it creates a new site every time. So this allows you to test commit-based instances or multi-dev instances, what a lot of folks like to call it, and combined together with GitHub Actions. So every time you raise a pull request, we actually create an Insta site, a temp site, and then comment inside the PR that this is the PR site, right? So it gives you like an ability to test right then and there.
Wow. Very cool. This is awesome. Head on over to instawp.com. Try it out for free. What was that short URL you said?
WP.new.
wp.new. Go check that out as well. Any other thing you want to share, Vikas, about the future of InstaWP and your vision for the product?
Yeah, so our vision is to make the best tool available there is for agencies, freelancers, and product companies so that they can build on WordPress without worrying about the underlying infrastructure, right? And then, like, buying a bunch of tools, trying to make them work together, especially on the tooling side, right? We want all the plugin things and everything else needs to be done by the plugin companies. What we need to build a platform, underlying platform, where people can just build on WordPress as if they are building on Wix or a Webflow. Even though I don't want to use these examples, but right, so that's the reality we live in, and then simply migrate, right? Simply go online wherever you want. So that's the beauty of InstaWP, and the vision for the next 6 months is, as I said, we want to give creators an opportunity to create these experiences, the website as a service part, where you connect a hosting and then you just give out links to people that, hey, by the way, this is a new Gutenberg project which I'm working on, right? This is my design. Do you want to buy this? So instead of selling a zip file, you are actually selling a site which is completely deployed by InstaWP. You don't need to worry about it, and then you make recurring revenue on top of it. So which can be an amazing thing to see.
That's awesome. I'm super excited about this. Go to instawp.com, try out the free plan, check out the pricing options. It looks like it's really great and easy to get into. I love that working on that problem of like that initial setup and testing. You're just removing a ton of friction with this, which is awesome for InstaWP, but also for the WordPress community in general. So thanks. And the website builders out there and product makers, this is a really cool innovation. Thanks for making this. Go to instawp.com. Is there anywhere else that people can find you? I know you're my buddy on Twitter. You're on Twitter. Where else can people connect with you, Vikas?
Yeah, so Twitter is the right. I'm very active there. LinkedIn is also, I'm very active, and post status you can definitely find me there.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Vikas, for coming on the show. You're getting some love in the comments from La Rosa and Bunty WP. Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. And we'll check in. We'll do this again down the road and see where InstaWP's at as you continue to innovate. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris, for having me.